Hello, my lovelies. Keep singing, members. It is 11 a.m. on, what is today's date? January 16th. And it's Eastern time, and I'm trying to clean my glasses. So we are gonna get going here, and hopefully you guys will all be getting, well, let me get, ooh, Zoom has really updated a lot of their stuff. So let's do this. 39. What does this mean? Okay. Interesting. Automatic, like everybody can see the timing on here. Hopefully you guys will be drifting in. I just had to send out a new Zoom link. And so, unfortunately, but now it's all set up so that hopefully it's going to be the same Zoom link for the next year. And I just need to go through and like update the link in all the various places that it needs to be updated inside the members area and in all the email notifications and all the things, you know, it's one thing after another. Okay, so while you guys drift in, it's cold. I don't know if it's cold where you are. It's cold where I am and I'm in middle North America. And it's generally fairly temperate here, but today the air temp is, here comes Rob. And I believe, I know there's a couple other people coming, so I'm excited about that. Good morning, good morning. You can stay muted, Rob. It's great to have you. And as we talked about in your question last night, yes, you can have your video on, but stay muted unless, you know, there's something you need to say or want to say. So while you get all loaded up there, I will just continue. So it is cold here. I'm in middle North America. It's usually fairly temperate, but right now the air temp is in the single digits and the wind chill is around 0 or so. I mean, considering the fact that I used to live more north than this, this is kind of feels like a little bit of nothing, but here's some things that this is just a little public service announcement to all you singers. There's a few things about the winter time, if that's affecting you in your climate zone. Oh, by the way, I have a benefit yard sale that's going on right now. So there's, it's an online yard sale and it's benefiting anti-human trafficking efforts. So just so you know, that's what all that junk is. And there's a lot more junk where you can't see it. It's not junk, it's stuff that's for sale. Just in case you were wondering. So there are a lot of things that can affect your voice in these cold weather times and patterns. The humidity level or lack thereof. So there's a lot of dryness. You have dryness in the air in general. So you walk outside and the air, when it's cold outside, generally it's dry. Even when it's snowing, it's dry. Very like drier than your body needs. And then when you go inside, the heater's on and that dries out the air as well. So you need to make sure that you are hydrating, of course. And and now I'm drinking a little warm tea right here. That's great. But when you're drinking caffeinated stuff like caffeinated tea, coffee that's caffeinated, even decaf coffee has caffeine in it. So any of those things that tend to act as a diuretic, also the tannins and that act acidically in your body, those things don't favor your voice. Let's just put it that way. They don't do a lot to help your larynx do its laryngeal function. So make sure that you are hydrating in just kind of like regular ways with clear liquids and water. Clear soup broth, though, that's great too. Like things that are going to get water into your system. Using a humidifier when you're running your heat is going to be a really great idea. I just bought a new humidifier yesterday. You can also buy diffusers. Um, you can use a little bit of, essential oils in there if you want to add a little bit of scent to the air. So there's lots of ways to get moisture into your air. I take a big pot and I fill it with water. I put some essential oils in there and I leave it, I bring it to a simmer and I let it simmer on the stove all day. It's a huge pot full of water and I just let it simmer. So that's the kind of thing. So you just need to think what's going to work for you. How are you going to get some more moisture into your system and into the air? So it's helpful if it is in the air you're breathing, as well as that you are ingesting it into your body. I also want to show you guys one of my favorite go-tos if you are experiencing scratchy throat and you're hydrating and there's all kinds of what do you call them, viruses and things going around that just keep getting circulated and recirculated. So sometimes you might experience a scratchy throat, and I cannot more highly recommend Throat Coat by Traditional Medicinals. I love it. I've been using Throat Coat I probably discovered it 12 or 13 years ago, whenever. I don't know if it was new at the time. I have no idea, but love it. Steep it for 5 minutes so you get the best effects. The longer you steep it, the more effects you get. Better effects as with any botanical and herbal product. So highly recommend Throat Coat. This is there used to be this coupon doesn't work anymore. I give it to you. It's really old. I use this as a demonstration. So something like Throat Coat, but there's different products that are called Throat Coat. And there's even under traditional medicinals, they have different products that are Throat Coat. The one that I like the best, you should try various ones and try them out. I think they have the one that's actually even a sampler of all the different Throat Coats, but the one I like is the one that is slippery elm bark, and that's pretty much all it is. It's got a little bit of sweetness to it, but it's phenomenal. Now, I do not recommend ingesting this in large quantities right before you have to perform. Practicing is okay, but I would actually try doing it before you practice, so that you can see the effects that it's going to have on your throat. I have found that I need to sip on this either in very small quantities and definitely at a don't drink it hot, never hot when you're trying to sing and perform, but at a moderately warm temperature, and I sip on it. If I'm going to drink it, I drink it before I'm going to sing or after I have to perform. So those are some just little tips on that, because this is the bomb. All right, just saying. All right. Now, other things that can happen is you can experience hoarseness, and I want to show you some little tools that you can use that can help you not be so hoarse. This is a professionally designed actual resistance. I don't remember what this is called. It's made by Next Step. It is a phonation tube. It is called the LaxVox phonation tube, and it comes with the phonation tube and an adjusting clamp. And what this does is creates reverse reciprocal pressure. So when you create phonation, your larynx extends. This is not a laryngeal function lesson, but you are creating pressure, air pressure from underneath your larynx. What this does is creates a reciprocal pressure from the top, which takes a lot of the pressure off of the larynx. So you can still phonate and get the benefits of phonation without a lot of the pressure on the larynx. It's brilliant and so simple. You may have seen people using straws in water. That is another way that you can use this. This is like that you use the clamp if you don't have water. And right now I don't have water, so I'm going to demonstrate it for you with the clamp. All you do is do some of the same types of exercises that you would do during your regular practice. You can just use it during a regular practice and use the straw like this. You're going to put your lips around it. You're going to try to keep as much seal around the straw as you can. So I have it, that's what the size of the straw can matter. I'm going to show you how to do some different adaptations because probably not everybody has surgical tubing laying around. This is what this is. Surgical tubing looks like it's about 1/2 inch and this clampy thing. Okay. So I'm just going to do some humming. Now, I didn't experience a lot of resistance with that, so I'm going to tighten it up a little more. And you would do the same thing if you were using something else. Again, I'll demonstrate. You just want to know that there's some air resistance happening. Okay, so now I actually feel some resistance. You can see it's pretty almost closed there. And you can do not only humming and that kind of fire engine type exercise, which I teach in one of the earlier modules, but you can do almost anything that is just phonating. You can even sing songs. It's just going to sound weird, but you can and actually should. It's actually really great. Let me just do another exercise. This is the Rossini scale. So, you know, it doesn't sound like you're ready to join the Metropolitan Opera, but in actuality, it could get you there. So this type of apparatus is used for vocal rehab as well as for regular vocal training. Highly recommend it. If you are feeling your voice being worn out or dried out, or your throat is a little cranky on you, a little sore, try doing some vocal resistance. Let me show you how you can adapt if you don't have, you know, this fancy thing. I did mention that you can do it with water. I really should have come more, but I have all the other stuff. I forgot to bring some water. I can demonstrate it in my tea, just so you can get the idea. Maybe I don't want to go flying everywhere. So what you'll do is you'll take the same straw, stick it in your cup. Now, this is a small cup, and I'm not going to go very hard on it because it can bubble up, but I don't want to take time to go, that'll waste some of our time if I go run and get a cup of water. It is right now this full, and it is insulated, so it's an insulated little mug, so it's not going to give me as much room as a normal glass would, that would just be like a clear, you know, table water glass. But you're just going to put the straw in part way down, not all the way, and not all the way to the bottom. And you're just going to do the same exact thing. I'm not going to do it very hard because it is fairly full, and I don't want it to go spraying everywhere. In fact, let me move some of my tech stuff out of the way. You could probably see it bubbling up right there. So I just did the exact same thing, and same Rossini scale, just did it right into the tea. You would do it in water, don't do it in tea. It's kind of silly, but do that. The another thing that you can do is just use a normal little, this is just a, I try not to use disposable straws. This is just a stainless steel straw. Same thing. That made it spray a lot more. Um, Another thing you can do if you don't have water or your tea, you can try to get some liquid out of there. You can take your fingers and kind of clamp the end so that you create the resistance that you need. So I'm just keeping it just enough air to flow and giving myself a little resistance. So that's another thing that you can do. Another thing you can do is a coffee stir, because they're already teeny weeny weeny. And you can just use a little coffee stir that's like the miniature kind of straw. Speedway gas stations has the best ones. I always pick up 2 or 3 when I'm in there, and all the better if they're wrapped in plastic. But even those kinds that, like, if you attend a church or other faith place, place of worship, then sometimes there's a coffee area, and they have those little brown ones. Those are also good too. So now it's a little harder to get a seal on your lips without pursing your lips, so you kind of have to adapt. Around 1 is a little bit better. You can use an insert that goes, into an insulated water mug kind of a thing, like a Contigo kind of thing, and do the same thing, kind of clamp it up. This is very firm. There's no give to it. It's not surgical tubing. It is definitely made for plastic. You can just kind of clamp it off like this. Now you don't want to feel like you can't blow. You don't want that much resistance. You kind of have to play with it to find a resistance that gives you just a little bit of resistance, and yet you can keep singing. All right. No pun intended, although pun intended. Okay, now I do want to teach you the Rossini scale. It's a little harder than a lot, but it's really great. I mention it in early modules, but I'm going to give you the shape of it here, and hopefully that will be helpful to you. So I'm going to just move my little piano over here. Now, I got to tell you this straight up. Piano, I do play piano, I do teach piano, but it is not my forte. I played by ear for 20 years before I ever started really learning how to play. So when I play the Rossini scale, I do it very unconventionally and often mess up. So to teach it to you, though, I'm going to do it in the key of C. Now, for those with lower registers, you'll want to drop an octave, and those with higher registers, you can pretty much start where I'm going. When I higher registers, lower, that's not the right term. Just higher voices, higher pitch voices and lower pitch voices, those with different laryngeal structure. So if you have a lower voice, you're going to jump down an octave. If you are pretty much second soprano, soprano, tenor, you can do it where I'm playing. Everybody else, some altos might even be able to jump down the octave, but definitely basses, baritones, and some tenors will be able to jump down the octave. This is the shape of it. if you were going to put numbers to it, which I do, all right, and hey, welcome, welcome. Go ahead and stay muted, but turn on your video feed if you would like to. Welcome. So I'm about to give the shape of the Rossini scale. Hi, Stuart. So yes, go ahead and stay. Yeah, you're set up perfectly. And so I'm going to give the shape of the Rossini scale, which and Stuart, we just covered some stuff, but it's all going, of course, in the member area under their replays. So I'm going to give you guys the shape of the Rossini scale, and which you can use in myriad ways, and it's so fabulous for working your a lot of exercises that we do, we tend to just, you know, and I do, when you're warming up, we tend to focus either within an octave or even less than an octave. And the Rossini scale gives you the opportunity to expand past the octave, which you definitely want to work your voice in its fullest range. So, and as I just mentioned, Stuart, for those that have lower voices, you'll want to jump down the octave, but I'm going to play it in C4, which is basically middle C. So if you were to put numbers to this, it is 1, 3, 5. Okay. Then the next up 1, 3, 5. And then 4, 2, 7, 4, 5, 4, 2, 1. Don't worry about that, but don't worry about the numbers. But if you see it written down in any of my notation stuff in the training, you'll know that's what I mean when I say the pattern of this is just where it is in the octave, because every octave has 8 notes, but 7 are repeating. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then it repeats again at C. So now I need to turn my audio settings to music. There we go. All right. Okay. So that will help it not cut off. If you're ever singing to me or to someone else online, you need to make sure that your audio settings are set for live music, audio, or whatever that platform's equivalent is. So here's the pattern. Okay. Now, we're gonna do it. Y'all are gonna stay muted. We're gonna do it on whichever one you can do. We're gonna do either the lip trill or the tongue trill. Lip trill's a little bit like lip trill's like this. Tongue trill is the other one. Lip trill and tongue trill tend to be like, people can usually do one or the other. Some people can do both. Every singer should strive for both because they do different things for you, and they are both incredible for singers. So definitely strive toward both if you cannot yet already do both. So the pattern, again, do it, guys, and lower voices, jump down the octave. Women, kind of stay with me. Women in higher voices, countertenors, higher tenors. I'm going to do it on lip trill. Let's start with that first. Everybody try it. Now, and if you need a little assistance with your lip trill, take your fingers and put them in your cheeks, not at the corner of your mouth, but about an inch behind the corner of your mouth. Gently press in, kind of press until you can kind of feel your fingers, but don't jam your fingers into your teeth until you can feel your teeth. But don't jam your fingers into your teeth. So gently press them in and gently lift. Just a teeny little bit. And all you're doing is taking the pressure off your lips so that they can flutter freely. We're going to phonate behind it, which means, or audiate behind it, which means we're going to create the phonation. We're going to make sound behind it. So you can kind of think like you are humming behind the flapping of your lips. So think if you're playing motorboat in the tub with your kid or something like that, or when you were a kid and you'd play motorboat and you go, or you're playing a race car. We did usually race car with our tongue. So however you want to do it, that is kind of what we're going for here. So a little bit of press in, very lightly, not so much that you're jamming your fingers into your teeth, and a teeny little lift to take the pressure off your lips. So all right, let's try that on the tongue trill too. So the tongue trill is a light flutter where your tongue, it's kind of like you're saying D, but a D, the tongue goes straight up if you're going to get all linguistic and stuff. Tongue goes da 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 da, it kind of rests on the roof of the mouth. This, we want it just to, we want the front of the tongue tip to just kind of rest lightly on the roof of your mouth in the front. And you're gonna, every one of those little flutters is a closing off of the air, and you're bursting air through it. So we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna phonate behind it and do our hum. We want to have the focus be, well, I'll get to that in a second. Let's just try for the tongue flutter first, or tongue trill. 1, 2, 3, ready, go. So let's do those again. Stuart, you missed my little introduction to how bad of a piano player I am. So I'm doing everything in the key of C, so jump down. When I introduce the Rossini scale in the modules, there's a full, we go up and down and up and down, but that's when I have a controlled environment and I can do it, easily and quickly. So with the help of technical stuff. So, all right, we're just going to practice today we're practicing the tongue and the lip flutter and trill. Here we go. We're going to go on the lips this time. We're going to go back and forth between lips and tongue, but we'll pause in between each one so you can kind of recalibrate. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, ready, go. Now let's switch to the tongue. 1, 2, 3, ready, go. So that is the structure of the Rossini scale and how to do it with the lip trill and the tongue trill. Let's talk right quick about the mix between air and the phonation. So especially when I work with kids, but even with adults singers, they'll tend to start their lip or tongue trill like this. Okay. And you might guess that's really inefficient. That's super inefficient for your airflow and your breath support. So you want to think the tone and produce the tone and then let the lips do their thing. Versus, so I hope you can hear the difference between those two? So again, is what we want. We don't want. The second one starts the tone with air and lets the lips kind of join together after the air's already flowing. You want to start with the lips not tightly pressed together, but just together. So you can get a cleaner sound with less airflow. With less airflow. There's a lot that you get out of this as a singer. One is you are forced to relax your lips, which is essential to singing well. You are forced to relax your jaw and the underjaw muscles. you're forced to relax everything and focus on that phonation. And that is a really incredible and important practice for singers long term. So short term and long term. So focus on the tone production, then start your airflow and try to have the the sound, the tone be more than the air, and gradually work to where it gets maybe less like this until you have that clean sound that's a lot less air than you initially started. May not happen the first day, may not happen overnight. It may take a couple of weeks to get all the relaxation that you need to have that happen. And let's talk quickly about the tongue trill. It's the same kind of principles we're talking about here. A lot of times people will start it with a really strong flow of air. Again, really inefficient, and we want to work toward that more efficient sound where the tone overrides the air blowing versus so. And if you can get to the point where you can do both either on command, then you have mastered it. If I say to you, do it for me with a lot of breath flow, and you can do that, and then I say, okay, do it where the tone is more pure, and you can do that, then you're doing it. So and the way you want to do your exercises whenever you use lip, our meeting will end in 10 minutes. Whenever you are using your lip trill or your tongue trill with any exercise, because it works great with any exercise and really any song. If you're warming up, you can do lip trill and tongue trill with a song, and we'll get to more benefits and uses of it in just a second. But you should strive for that tone over breath. But another benefit of this and use of this, I guess, is a better term. Another use of this is when you're warming up, using the lip trill and the tongue trill both afford your larynx the opportunity to move and start blood flow without as much stress or strain on it, and as it is when you are actually phonating, just when you're vocalizing. So they're super useful. The other thing about it, as I mentioned earlier, is in order to do either of these successfully and with any level of skill, you are forced to focus on relaxing all your muscles, which is essential for good vocal production. So you want to do these, in other words. Like, you really want to do these. If you can't do one or the other, work on it a little bit every day. It's kind of like my daughter's trying to learn to do that whistle with your hands like this, which I cannot do. But that the woo kind of thing, if you think about old. Are you doing it? You can do that. I think it's so beautiful, and she was inspired by some TikTok girl who lives in Ireland and stands on the moors and does these things. So this is it's the same thing I told her yesterday, because she hadn't done it in weeks and she couldn't remember quite how to produce the sound. I said, you need to do it a little every day. Same thing with lip trill, tongue trill, and if you also do, and Stuart, you missed this, but go back and see the replay. If you do a little bit of straw phonation every day, really, really good on your voice. So really good for rehab and for vocalizing, warming up, and you will see a huge difference when you straw phonate. Okay. Today we have Stuart and Rob. Do either of you have a question for me today before we wrap it up? We have 5 minutes left. Nothing from you. Rob, do you have anything? straw phonation first? Oh, like as in, do you do straw phonation first? Is that what you're asking? Or did it? Okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can do straw phonation at any point. You can even rehearse songs using straw phonation, and creating that little bit of resistance uh, can actually, you'll find greater freedom in your high notes and greater freedom and more robustness in your low notes after straw phonating a piece that you're working on. And so you can use it for warming up. You can use them for cooling down. Get your little glass of water, or get a, really, I recommend a tall glass of water. As you see, this was not a great idea, but it was all I had. So put it in there and have your tall glass and maybe about this much water, and do some fire engine kinds of exercises where you're just kind of flowing your voice a little bit, not a lot of stress or strain on it, and you can do that as a cool down. So these straws are phenomenal. Let's see, let me go see what, yes, like a siren. Straw, okay, okay. Any other questions from either of you? Okay. Please, next week, last night I sent out the wrong notification. I had in my mind that today was What's in Your Way week. No, that's next week. So if there's something that is in your way for progressing vocally or performance-wise, and it can be anything. It's different things for different people. It can be some people might, for their performance, they might get a lot of performance anxiety, or maybe you're having trouble figuring out timing for practice. I don't know, whatever, or you're having trouble identifying which exercises should go in your Fab Five, or you just need more exercises, or whatever. How do I find exercises? How do I identify exercises that are good for me? Like we just let me know what's in your way to progressing. And those are the types of questions, topics, and issues to send me so that I can kind of prepare for next week. I really you'll ideally send them a day or two in advance so I can have some think time on it and maybe some prep time if there's stuff I have to gather. So we'll just take it from there. Okay, guys, we're about to run out of time. So blessings to you, and hope to see you next week. And shoot me any questions at the Q&A, spelled out Q-A-N-D-A, at keep-singing.com, or keep-singing.com. All right. Enjoy the cold weather if you're in it. Y'all take care. You're welcome, Rob. Bye, y'all.